To testing for self-defense. I originally wanted to do this with, one object that would act like a rib cage, which would be short or spare ribs, but the price of beef is outrageous right now. So unfortunately, I had to go with the next best thing, which is these are turkey legs. Now, they got a pretty decent sized bone in there. And, they got some meat on them. Maybe act like a pectoral muscle, if you will. But I wanted to use that in something that would be as close to a heart as I could think of. And if you think about a tomato, it actually has chambers on the inside of it, like the way your heart would. So I think that'd be a pretty good test medium right there. We're going to take a couple shots and see if we can get the 22 LR and the 22 Magnum at a different barrel lengths here to penetrate both our turkey leg and our little composite heart here. Alright, stick around. Alright, we've got our target set up here with our really thick bone turkey wing, and we got our tomato heart back there. It's not an exact science, but I think it'll work for the demonstration purposes of this video. We're going to see if we can't get that bullet to go right through a bone and into our heart. And the first gun we'll be testing out will be our Snub nose Rough Rider, loaded up with the 22 LR round. Okay, first up is going to be the 22 LR out of our 2-inch barrel Snub nose. And primarily what we're going to be testing out here are these 3 different commonly found rounds. We have the large mouth hollow point by Winchester. We have a small mouth hollow point by Federal. And then we also have a solid lead round nose bullet. Also kind of acts like a full metal jacket. We're going to test them all out for penetration and effect, and let's go ahead and get to the shooting. Alright, now, the first round we're going to test out of our Snub nose is going to be our lead round nose, and then you can see our target. Now, I'm shooting alone today, so this may be kind of difficult. We may miss a couple times, but oh well. Let's see what we can do here. I don't think that was a hit. Let's go check. Nope, we shot way high. Actually, I think we hit just right above it. Yeah, that's an exit hole. So we know it'll go through the pectoral at least. Alright, let me step back here and hit it one more time with our full metal jacket. Alright guys, unfortunately we're a little pressed for time, and those shots did go through. They did hit the tomato. So we're just going to go ahead and move on over to the small mouth hollow point. And then right after that, we'll do the big mouth hollow point. We'll just have to be a little closer to our target because I ain't got very many of these left. Alright, let's see what we can do. Alright, seemed to be a solid enough shot. Unfortunately, we went to the right. Alright, we'll just have to test out our big mouth. Then we'll load up another small mouth. Alright, big mouth hollow point. This time I can hit it. There we go. Alright, let's see what that hollow point done to our tomato. Oh man. That is a real mess right there. See how it split all down the side of it? That big mouth hollow point, that's a Winchester. It really done some damage. Right, I'm going to throw up a fresh tomato. We're going to step back and hit it with the Federal smallmouth hollow point. Okay, we're loaded up with the Federal smallmouth hollow point. We got our pectoral and our heart there. Let's see what we can do. Now that's a pretty solid part that I just shot into. So this would be a great test to see if we have any expansion back there. Let's take a look. Okay, we do have a great hit. I can already see some damage there. So you can see it tore pretty much right through that bone right there. It is messy, to say the least. But I can feel a lot of busted up bone in there too. Let's take a look. Wow. Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between that and just your standard full metal jacket or lead round nose. Let's compare that, which is our smallmouth Federal hollow point, to our Winchester largemouth hollow point. And you can see quite a bit of difference between the two. I mean, with the Federal, you don't really have the splitting that you do with that Winchester. But that can show you at a short range, at least, that the 22 LR out of a 2-inch barrel packs enough punch to make it through some pretty thick bone and still do a lot of damage to an internal organ. Okay, let's step back and let's go up in barrel length and see if that makes a difference. This is our 6-inch Heritage. This thing is a whole lot more accurate right now at a longer distance than my snub nose is. At least I'm more accurate with it. I should put it that way. Let's go ahead and step back and try the same rounds at a longer distance. Starting first with our lead round nose. Since we're moving on now to a longer range and a new gun, I'm going to go ahead and throw up a new turkey wing here with a lot of bone in it. Here you can see our older one. That one I would say has definitely been compromised. So I'm going to move to a new tomato here too. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's go ahead and set this guy like this. And we'll try to shoot if we can. This is going to be a tricky shot. That is a really, really thick part of the bone I am shooting through. That's ought to tell you the penetration power 22 LR for sure. As you can see, we're quite a bit further than we were with our 22 snub nose. Now let's test that same lead round nose out of our 6-inch Heritage Rough Rider. Alright, there's our shot. Let's go take a look at the damage. Excuse me. Okay, you can see we hit flush dead center into the thickest part of that bone. And it traveled clean through. And you can see where it impacted our tomato. And we actually have splitting, much like we've seen with the Winchester hollow point. And that exit hole, my goodness, it is not playing around either. Wow. Now, it wasn't a hollow point. I know what you're thinking, or might be thinking. How did it generate that much damage? Well, if you think about it, that soft lead actually began to deform, much like a hollow point would, very early on through this thick bone. So what came through was a completely different shape than your traditional lead round nose bullet. Alright, let's move up to the hollow point and let's see if there's any difference. We'll start off with our Winchester hollow point just like last time. Let me go grab another tomato. Alright, now we're set up here at the same range using our same gun. This time we're going to go with our Federal, I guess you could call it a shallow nose or a small nose hollow point. Let's see what we can do. Wow. That is crazy. My goodness. That Federal hollow point, man, bulk pack stuff, it really did a number on our heart. Clean through another fat part of the bone too. Yeah, there's definitely not much left. That was crazy. Alright, I've got one tomato left, so let's move on to the 22 Magnum. Okay, now to be about as fair about this test as I can be, I'm not going to shoot the 22 Magnum out of our 6-inch. We know after seeing that last shot what's pretty much going to happen there. So let's fire the Magnum out of our snub nose at a little bit closer range so we can hit our target. And let's see what these TNT dynamites can do. Now, their advertised muzzle velocity is 2,200 feet per second. Now, I imagine we're not going to quite get that out of a 2-inch snub nose, but let's see what we do get out of it. I'm going to back up to right about here. That's about poker playing distance. Now, let's take our shot. Get a good line on where that's at. Okay, guys, here we go. 2,200 feet per second, TNT. Wow. That thing just hits differently. Let's go ahead and take a look at our target. You can see we hit right in the center, I believe. I don't know, we might have hit right here. But right through the thickest part of the bone like last time. Tore straight through. Now this is a very deep hollow point. I mean, if you ever look at these TNTs, they are really something. But it looks like moving at close to 1,500 feet per second. Even through that thick of a bone, it didn't really give it enough time to fully expand. But that is still quite a hole when you compare that to a 22 Magnum round. That is straight through. See, we have a lot of splitting going on there. I mean, if that was somebody's heart, it'd be over, no doubt. So for my money, so far in our testing, 22 LR and Magnum really are showing what they are capable of doing. Man, just look at how thick that bone there is. Jeez. Alright, I've decided to throw a little bit of bonus content your way, so what we're going to do is we're going to give our tomatoes here a fighting chance. Now, I've doubled up our targets. That is a whole lot of meat and bone to go through to hit our tomato down there. But since we haven't been shooting the most accurately, I'm going to go ahead and give us every bit of a chance to see the effect of the round coming through if it does indeed pass through. And make it just a little bit more challenging, our 22 Magnum be coming out of our snub nose. So let's go ahead and take a shot with it. And let's see what we got. All right. Man. Woo. That had a lot of backblast with it. Let's take a look. I think we hit right here. Let's see. Our bullet passed clean through, and we hit our tomato, surprisingly. No, actually, I think that was an old one. Huh. Okay, let's back up and give it one more shot. See if we can't hit it a little more flush. You know what? I'm going to set this guy up here a little bit higher so we may see something actually come through. Alright, here we go. I'm going to stand up for this one. Let's see if we can't get through there. Alright, take a look. It was on a pretty good downward angle. Ooh, hello. Unfortunately, it looks like we missed again. Alright, might as well try one more time. Man, I'm just a terrible shot right now. Alright, let's see what we got. Now that hit centered. Yeah, definitely. That is where we impacted. Actually see it smoking a little bit in there. Wow. It don't look like we got a flush shot but it did both times dice right through that tomato, and I couldn't see it. See, there's our previous shot on that side. Wow. I can't believe that 22 Magnum is still going through that much meat and bone. There's a hole. Granted, that is from 2 rounds impacting roughly the same area. Let's tear that skin apart and see what we can see inside of it, if we can. Ugh. Just busted and broken bone. Man, that's all busted up in there too. Well, sorry it took me so many shots, guys. But you know what? How about we try out the 22 LR and see if it can't make it through bow. Now we're flat out just trying to stop the 22 LR. We got the 2 thickest parts of the bone back to back, and I'm gonna shoot right through them and see if we can't get some penetration out of the 22 LR. First up will be our Federal, and after that will be our Winchester. If I can't hit the target, oh well, I'm calling it a day. Alright guys, here we go. There's one. Let's take a look. As you can see, we impacted right here on the thickest part of the bone. Just threw bone and blood, more bone fragments all over our target. Went in, actually went through, and right into the side of our tomato. Here again, you can see where it's been hit by previous shots. Wow. So at a short range, 22LR definitely doesn't play around. So let's step back, let's hit it with that Winchester hollow point at a longer range and see if we can't get a similar effect. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's take a look. I didn't quite see where we impacted on our target, but I think we hit right about here. Again, we have more bone fragment going all the way through. But I don't see. Well, it might be. Actually, guys, I think it hit the same spot. Holy crap. Even at a range of 21 feet, that 22 still went all the way through both of our bones. We still had enough energy and impact damage to tear up our organs behind it. That's awesome. Okay guys, thoughts and takeaways on today's video. Now, did I, do it exactly how I wanted to do it? The most definitive 22 self-defense video that's ever been put on YouTube? No, not even close. I really wanted to do the spare ribs, for our test median, and I really wanted the 4 layers of denim. And to be honest, though, after seeing the results of today's test, 22 LR, 22 Magnum, out of the long barrel, out of the short barrel, at different distances, really penetrating, a bone that's roughly the size of somebody's femur, and then 2 of them at the thickest point of each one of them, going right through and still hitting the target behind, our organ, if you will, or heart. I don't really think the 4-layer of denim test needs to be done. I mean, so many other people have done it on YouTube, it's really been done to death. Will the 22 hollow point expand? Yes, they will. They are a real deal hollow point. When they impact and they hit hard enough bone or material, whatever that material may be, they will expand and they will do their intended job, which is to cause number one, a larger wound channel, larger permanent wound cavity, larger temporary wound cavity, and to not penetrate as deep. 22 hollow points really will do what they're intended to do. They're a real hollow point. Will they bounce around and ricochet? Of course not. That is an urban myth. I don't even know how that got started, to be honest with you. 22s are notorious for, careening off of a rock or off the surface of water or a tree. But guys, I've seen a lot of different bullets do that. 22, it is what it is, though. Is there better self-defense options? Of course there is. Me and my little brother not too long ago did a video on his channel. You really ought to check it out if you haven't already. It's 22 versus 9 mil. On that test, we did have the spare ribs, and we had a 5-pound block of modeling clay to act as the organ, if you will, to show us the damage that each round would do after penetrating, if they would penetrate. You guys should really go check that video out. He did a great job on it. I really wish that I could have got more material and, got a little bit more definitive with the testing. But to be honest, after seeing that, I cannot dispute the power of a 22 long rifle for self-defense. I really can't. Excuse me. If a 22, especially in today's market with the way ammo is, if a 22 is all you can afford to carry, it will do the job. I can afford to carry more than a 22. I mean, you guys have seen my videos. You've seen the guns I've had. I've had 45s. I've had 40s, 9mm. To this day, I still carry and put more dependence in my 22 Magnum for my own self-defense. It's my choice. A lot of the tactards out there, and even members of the police and the army may tell you, or me, that I'm making a foolish decision. That's my decision at the end of the day. In my personal opinion, I think a 22 long rifle, preferably the more rounds you can get into a revolver, like an 8-shot, that's what I would go with. Or 22 Magnum. If you're sensitive to recoil, it's a great option too, which I'm not. I can handle 357 all day long, have fun with it. Sore wrist, in the morning, but ain't nothing too powerful. 44 Magnum, it might be a bit of a stretch for me. I don't know if I could shoot that all day. I don't know if I'd want to be honest with you. But that's one of the great benefits to having the 22. Ammo, even in this day and age, it's still the cheapest ammo you can get. You can actually afford to go out to the range and practice. And that's really what a person has to do if they're going to be carrying for self-defense. The more practice that you have drawing, clearing, checking, loading, unloading, and target practice, fire, even silhouette shooting, the better off you'll be, God forbid, if that day should come and you have to defend yourself. It's like my dad always told me. He said there are 2 types of people in this world. Here's another good way to put it. People think you have to be Bruce Lee or John Wayne or Clint Eastwood. Those guys are all tough guys, but when it comes down to a fight for your life, it's not a matter of toughness. It's a matter of trained versus untrained. You guys, I'm sure you've seen hundreds of self-defense videos, and if you haven't, I really recommend Active Self-Protection. I mean, John Correa does a great job of teaching you all about self-defense and what to do in situations, and going over videos of actual situations that have happened and doing them in review of what the defender could have done better. It's a great channel. I highly recommend it. That's Active Self-Protection. All right, guys, Sons of Oklahoma, we'll see you at the range.